Hi, I'm Neil Hunt. I'm the content lead at TV Connect, and I'm here with Ovum Research Analyst Ismail Patel. Tell me, Ismail, your specialism is the Middle East and Africa, and obviously, you know, it's a fairly Eurocentric show here, and we hear a lot about kind of convergence and the kind of SVOD and OTT and different ways of delivering new technologies. What are the key differences between the European or US market and the kind of Middle East and Africa?
In terms of the infrastructure, infrastructure in the Middle East is relatively new compared to Western and Eastern Europe, especially when we talk in the context of the rich energy nations, which are the 6 Gulf nations: Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar. Their infrastructure is very new, and there's a lot of FTTH/B deployment happening in those markets, and that is giving them an edge over other regions in the world, because their infrastructure is new and is super fast, so there's a lot of IPTV activity in those markets, and it's also supporting various OTT initiatives. So in that sense, that market is very ahead. However, in terms of the maturity of the market, it lags behind its North American and Western Europe counterparts. A lot of content within the Arab region is imported. There's a lot of Western influence. Especially the youth, they're attracted to Western content and English-spoken content. In terms of the locally produced content, it is lagging behind compared to other regions where locally sourced content is relatively stronger. And also, when we speak about the Arab region, there's a lot of differences in terms of individual markets. So you have, on the one hand, the Gulf states, which I just mentioned, and then you have the lesser rich states. So, for example, Yemen, certain markets in the North Africa, like Algeria and Tunisia. So there's a wide variety of markets, but what unites them is the common culture and the common language, and that is why you saw a couple of years ago, US cable operator Stars launched its OTT initiative, Stars Arabia, and it launched it simultaneously in all these Arab markets. So there's a lot of commonality. There are a lot of differences within these individual markets. So that's the present state of play within the Arab, Middle East and North Africa region, at least. Then you have non-Arab speaking states within the region. For example, you have Afghanistan, which is very less mature market, to put it mildly. You have then you have markets like Israel that has its own dynamic, and then you have Turkey and Iran. Now these two are very interesting markets because they're in their own right are very mature. Turkey, in the context of Turkey, we see content which is exported. Their content is of high quality and is exported to markets like Latin America. Also, I believe Southeast Asia. They have a vibrant local content producing market. Their local market is strong. Their broadband is fairly mature. When we talk about Iran, which I was just speaking about on the round table just a few minutes ago, Iran, since the 1979 revolution, has become a very insular market due to sanctions imposed on them. However, last year there was some hope provided to the market after the deal brokered by between President Rouhani, who is the premier of the Iranian state, and the previous president of the United States, Barack Obama. So there was some hope. However, that market is in some sort of flux after the latest president of the United States came in, President Trump, whose agenda seems to be to derail the progress made under the previous administration. But Iran, if it opens up, it is also a positive market in terms of content, because Iran also produces quality content. One should know that Iran has won the best foreign film category twice at the Oscars, once this year and once in 2012, both by the same director, coincidentally. So Iran does produce quality content like Turkey does. Iran has been preserved from influences from foreign markets, especially English-speaking markets, inadvertently due to the sanctions. That is why Iran can produce quality content, and there's a lot of talent within this market. So overall, when we talk about the Middle East and North Africa, there is a lot of potential. There are a lot of differences between markets, and overall, it is a maturing region. And there's a lot of opportunities for revenue generation and monetization, and there's a lot of organic growth to be had.
Okay, so if you're a global player, I mean, I know Netflix and Amazon are kind of everywhere at the moment, but what are the challenges for them penetrating these markets? One you mentioned was, obviously there's a common language, so they need to take advantage of that. But what other challenges are there?
The perception is that the challenge is not to offend local sensitivities. However, when we speak about subscription TV and also online video, the concept of censorship and self-regulation is not as evident as there is on, for example, normal linear free-to-air broadcast.
Yeah.
There is that element of censorship and or self-regulation on traditional broadcast. However, when we enter the domain of subscription TV, censorship becomes less because people pay for their services and there's an expectation that it's delivered in the manner that it was produced, whatever it was produced.
Sure.
And in terms of online video, the concept of censorship becomes less in the sense that it's more beyond the reach of the regulators and authorities there, as opposed to content that's broadcast on the traditional screen. So, for example, when Stars Arabia launched a couple of years ago, it's the first international SVOD service in the region. There, the only problem they saw with their US content was to ensure that local politics weren't touched upon within their content. So that was censored out. But apart from that, they haven't been going through a mass filtering process of their content, because they know that behind a paywall, and also because that their content is online and it's not on the traditional TV, that they can get away with more things than a traditional broadcast would have on the traditional screen at home.
So then, I guess flipping that question, how can local or regional players, in markets that are opening up, preserve a market share against the giants coming in, I suppose?
That's an interesting question. The problem for local startups is that the makeup of the regional population, especially the youth, they're very aware of content, not only nationally, local to their markets and their region, but also internationally. So there's no escaping that. The youth want to see what's happening in the type of content that's broadcast in the United States, and there's an increasing demand on the part of them to have that content aired at the exact time or close after it's broadcast in North America. So that challenge is going to remain, and at the same time that also presents an opportunity for anybody who's incoming from North America and also, for example, Western Europe. Netflix has launched. There's talk about Amazon launching sometime in the future. They'll have a great opportunity to crack this market. In terms of the challenges for local operators, I think their main challenge is to stay relevant, to keep on producing quality local content, and to be able to monetize their content. One of the problems in the region is that most of the quality content traditionally went on FTA, like channels like NBC, which is the regional FTA operator, and the monetization model would be advertising. So if local studios want to monetize their content, by default their first point of going would be the FTA broadcasters. Original local content being aired on pay TV channels like OSN It's relatively less compared to the FTA broadcasters, so that's another challenge. Piracy is another issue within the region, although it's getting less and less due to content becoming more and more available and more accessible. So in summary, these are a few challenges which the local studios, local producers, local operators need to be cognizant of.
Brilliant. Ismail, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.